All right, welcome back to the Pure Playbook. I'm Dr. Dustin Bosson. We have 3 docs on this episode today. Super excited to have Dr. Dylan Tarrant in the building. We'll get more to him here in just a second, but welcome back to the Pure Playbook. This is the podcast where we are always trying to bring current, relevant information for student athletes and their parents trying to keep up and solving the age-old questions that's becoming more and more prevalent of where do we go, who do we trust, how do we prevent when it comes to injuries. This one is going to be very, very dance focused, which is going to be awesome. A lot of people probably in this community know that we're very involved in dance. A lot of you that have been listening know that my wife, Erika, who's also here with us today, is very big in dance. Our daughter has just started dancing. We are invested in the dance world, and we are excited to have you here with us. Yes.
Heck yeah.
Bring it on. So this is going to be a good one. Dr. Nate and I are excited. My wife, Erika, is excited. We are happy to have you. I'm going to let you kind of just give us a quick background, Dylan, of who you are, what it is you do. I'm going to tell everybody that you are also a chiropractor. So give us your quick, yes, period. I'll give us your quick 3-minute rundown of who Dylan is. How'd you get here?
Okay. Ooh.
Not by plane, by the way.
I flew in.
Started with. Hello, everybody. My name's Dr. Dylan. I'm a dancer and a chiropractor, and I just got my master's in mental health as well. So trying to combine all of that. I first got into dance when I was 15 years old. There was this era called crumping.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that really helped me get
Heck
out
yeah.
of the streets of Santa Maria.
Uh-huh.
And the studio took me in, and then I did contemporary, hip hop, modern, ballet, musical theater. I went to Cal State Long Beach for dance science.
Yeah.
So it's kinesiology and dance.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
then-
that's so fun.
Oh, yeah. It was like cool. My professor was like this famous Pilates teacher. And then she was like, you should become a physical therapist. And I said, eh. And I just became something completely opposite of what she said. And I'm happy I'm a chiropractor.
Yeah.
And she also said to just do one thing. So I was like, I was stuck between physical health and mental health. And I just decided to combine both.
Yeah.
So I got my master's in dance movement therapy, trying to holistically train young dancers with their mind, body, and spirit.
Good.
That's fantastic. I
I'm
love
on
that.
Long Island, New York.
Heck yeah.
So from California, we'll go mid-state California. So north of LA, a couple hours, right? Santa Maria. And then, so now you practice and you still dance, but you're on the opposite side of the U.S. in
Yes.
Long Island now.
I'm on Long Island now. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
Very different. So I work with this company called True Dance Potential. He was actually my dance teacher when I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
Became really good friends afterwards. And then he was like, I'm starting this business. Will you come? I'm like, sure. So after I graduated from chiropractic school, I hopped on a plane, one-way ticket to New York, and never looked back. I've been there for almost 3 years now.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Good for you. Well, it's so how you ended up here today is actually the studio Fusion, right? That Erika taught at when we actually first met. Our daughter now dances there, but they're doing an intensive today. Fusion Dance Center is doing an intensive this week, and your portion you are teaching tomorrow. What are you teaching tomorrow at Fusion?
So tomorrow I'm teaching biomechanics for dancers, strength conditioning, and injury prevention. So kind of looking at dance technique through this chiropractic lens of how can we, I always think of this term like trauma and ultra, less is more. Efficiency within the body, while also thinking about like, how does my body work? And everyone's body's different. And so how can we personalize that? Because that's where the mental health comes in. Because like everybody's different, like it really is. And so how can I get that one kid to be inspired to be like, look, it's just going to look different on my body.
Yeah.
And you just need someone there to be like, you got this.
Right. Yeah.
I really love that because that's one thing I think obviously all athletes struggle with that. You know, he kicks harder than me, he can throw better than me or whatever. But with dancers, it's like, why does she have her split and I don't? Or why can't I nail that turn? And she can, we're the same height, we're the same this, that, or the other, but nobody looks internally at what's going on within the body to figure out why can't I do this?
Yeah.
And so hearing you say that like gives me hope that like more people will start doing that and just instead of saying, you know, well, get a higher releve. okay, but that doesn't work for her.
Yeah.
It might work for this one over here, but it doesn't work over here. And I feel like our docs here in this practice are really good at also doing that with all of our athletes. They're very specific to the human, not to the, sport per se. So I love hearing that.
It's beautiful.
One of the big things we see with our artistic athletes is what we like to call them is
No.
and you'll probably want to touch on this a little bit with your expertise, but how hip structure can be different in your athletes and how that is going to be analyzed differently, and how you can be, you can move differently, you can do different positions, and it's going to be different. You don't want to force things, because then from an injury prevention standpoint, if we're forcing things that aren't there from hip structure standpoint, then we're creating stress fractures and impingement and other things that are uncomfortable for these athletes, when, a coach might be like, no, you need to do this. We're going to force you into this position and do it over and over and over again until you get
Overuse,
it.
injury.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's something that we see and try to educate both the athlete as well as the parents and some coaches that we're involved with, that not everybody is the same, and we need to assess each person differently and treat them as an individual, and not do everything across the board the same with each athlete. So that's something that we look at for sure, and I'm sure something that you're looking at as well.
Almost definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So from your perspective, was in dance world, let's kind of hone in on dance world a little bit, like with what we do as a profession and what you like. I'll be honest, not every chiropractor practices the same necessarily. There's probably a lot that do practice the same, but I would say by and large, I'm not going to put you like transparency. We met about 30 minutes ago. Honestly. So we found out you were coming. We got news that another chiropractor was coming to our studio, and instead of, a lot of people would have been a little bit resistant, like, why didn't they have me there? My daughter goes to that. And it's like, no, my man's in town. We're going to have him on the podcast. So we met about 30 minutes ago, but give me a little bit of your philosophy and on the dance realm. Like, what is most important do you feel that these dancers should know about chiropractic, about their bodies, about the biomechanics and injury prevention? Get on your high horse a little bit and let's hear it. Give us a little bit of
soapbox. Let's go.
No. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that it's all connected. I like when you're thinking about the whole body. We were talking about the hip earlier, and I was just thinking about upper body. Because like if we're here, how is that going to change? We talk about the riding reflex and how that changes everything below. So basically the eyes want to see leveled. So the body will shift so that not necessarily the head comes up, everything else kind of shifts towards that. And so
you're not going to walk around like this.
Yeah, you're gonna like this or like this.
Yeah.
Body shifts. So I always think about like equal and opposite. Like if something's hurting the front, what's happening in the back? Or something's happening on the hamstrings, what's happening in the front of the hips that we can take a look at. And so, I always say motion is lotion. I live by that. So not just adjustments, not just rehab exercises, not just the dance technique, but all of it together and combined. And also, what are their social health outside of that? What is their mental health outside of that too? Yeah. So kind of looking at the patient as a whole versus you're just a dancer, but you're not. You're this. You're also a student. There's so many different aspects to these athletes that I feel like we get defined and stuck into a box. So it's like holistically, how can we take care of this person?
It's like he's listened to the podcast before. You're doing with a person, just an athlete.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a couple of things that we talk about here, and Dr. Nate was already alluding to it, and you're already talking from the same perspective, is we've basically narrowed this thing down, and it really doesn't matter what athlete we're talking about, but staying on the dance side of things is proper structures, proper function. And if I'm going to look at one thing first, we're going to dive into the structure, because a lot of times that structural issue, that structural change, or the lack of structure that you're achieving, then we'll talk about flexibility, a flexible structure. There a lot of times the aches, the pains, the dysfunctions, the injury, the lack of mobility that you have really hones down to a structural issue that can cause a muscular problem that then gives you the lack of whatever it is that you're upset you don't have. Right. And so we talk about that a lot. And I truly think it's literally the missing piece. Like, go choreograph a dance and then have somebody not be clean, have spacing be wrong, have that structure of that dance be thrown off this much. And what kind of deductions come from that? What's the performance look like? You know, how does the morale go if, you know, 3 girls fall out of turns or the spacings? And it's just, there's proper structure in a lot of different avenues. There's proper function. If we keep band-aiding things or we keep dealing, you know, trying to look at an issue that's maybe simpler, it's like, oh, we just need to stretch more. It's like, it's okay to get outside help and look a little deeper. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong. It's just going to get you further, faster into what you actually want. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say something that you also touched on with all of that is the mental traumas that come along with it because they make a physical impact, right? So when you're, you know, we're talking dancers. So when we are that dancer and we can't hit that turn because our shoulder continues to hike up. And so we're here instead of here in our turn and we physically can't get that shoulder down. We're going to fall out every time. And so that mental component alone is tearing ourselves down. It's creating impact on our body, physically heavying ourselves. And then also it gives that mental aspect even a secondary to, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. My teacher's telling me this over and over again, and I can't fix it because nobody has looked at her structure. Yeah. And that's the part that I wish more dancers got, because I'll be in a private with a girl and I will literally have her stand in a passe and watch her structure and watch it either fail or succeed. And I will literally go out and tell her mom, hey, she's having this issue because of her structure. You need to get her into a chiropractor. I promise you it'll fix it. And the number of times that they actually listen to me is like 0 because they don't understand that. They're like, oh, okay. Like, you fix that. And not only will homegirl be turning like crazy, but it'll boost her up mentally and it'll make her a better dancer in the long run and a better human and a more successful child and a more successful student athlete, because she'll be able to actually succeed in other aspects of her life instead of just saying, I can't do it. I physically can't. I mentally can't. I'm done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with your masters, give us some insight on how you're incorporating the mental component with what you do every day with all your athletes.
Yeah. So I actually went into, so my master's is dance movement therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the mental health through movement in the body.
Yeah.
I went into that because when I was in my last internship and I was like, Lord, I'm almost done. And he said, no, you're not. For another 2.5 years, you're going to have to go do it. I was like, yeah, listen.
Mm-hmm. That's what you do.
Yeah.
He taught you, listen. Good job.
It's like, there's a scholarship. And then sure enough, he gave me the scholarship. I was like, oh, sorry, Lord, I should have been more specific and said full ride scholarship. Yeah, it was, so backtracking to my last semester in school, there was a patient that was stuck at a 2 out of 10 pain. And I was just kind of like, and I haven't worked with this particular patient for a couple of weeks. So I've seen her a couple times. And then, so I finally saw her again and I was like, I see you saw so-and-so in the past 4 visits or 4 weeks. So they come twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you've been at this 2 out of 10 pain. What's going on? And as soon as I just was like, what's happening? This patient starts crying on the table and just all these emotions that she's talking about. She didn't get into her school, the financial aid of this, and XYZ is happening at home. And then all this emotion just came out. And then I saw her 2 days later for her next visit for her rehab exercises. And she was at a 0 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just got to focus adjustments and let's go right into your rehab exercises. And she was back to volleyball, like 2 weeks after that.
That's awesome.
There was that. And I was like, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
And then more people started coming in with this emotional component that I was like, okay, Lord, you called, I'm going to listen. So it was just that whole, that's where the mental health part came in. And I'm just thinking about too, is like thinking about if I'm adjusting someone's neck or the upper back, but they're always coming back to here, there's like this stress that's happening internally. So like, I'm always going to be going back to this, but then also what's that other layer of that biopsychosocial? Like, how else can I facilitate other ways of moving and even being like, no, like my body's safe enough to try something different.
Yeah.
And that's through like this mental, social.
Right. Yeah. We see a lot of that with the kinesiophobia, we'll say, as with injuries with athletes, where they have that mental block and can't get past a certain movement, or they create a compensation for a movement that they were able to do before, but they're scared to do it because it was the movement that created the injury in the first place. And so addressing the mental component on that and getting past that block, letting them and showing them it's okay to do this, and showing them, you know, how the adjustments are working and how it's correlating with allowing them to move efficiently, and then peppering in some strength and conditioning along with that, and targeted exercises really help with that mental component. But yeah, it's huge with all of our athletes, and not enough healthcare practitioners are doing that in our experience. Yeah. And with all the athletes we see, it's shocking to say that they are getting that for the first time from us, and they've never had it from anybody else. So kudos to you for doing that and incorporating that into your work, because it's needed. It's sure.
So needed. And even just to be that sounding board, like you as docs, allowing yourselves to not only enter in the space as a doc, but also as a person that puts their guard down enough for these teenagers, you know, young adults to be okay with speaking and not feel like that they're either going to get torn down, told, oh, it's fine, or just kind of ignored. Giving them that space, obviously, it's all part of healing. So yes, keep doing that. These guys do it here, you do it there. We're going to have somebody in every state eventually. More and more people need to do that, because it's so important for them and anybody really to be able to mentally allow themselves to get out of that space so that they can fully heal, because you don't want to be stuck at that 2. You want that 0, and we all do.
Full function.
Yes.
And like getting stronger and being like, oh, I'm only at 2 pirouettes. Strength training got me to, what was you said when I said 10? You're like,
oh, to tops.
To tops. Hashtag tops. To tops.
Yeah, we were talking about when you came in. When I was asking about that, I'll give them a little bit of a longer form story, but it was, you know, talking about a lot of the structure and function and, you know, balance and coordination and what we do, and literally helping them overcome the emotional component, or, you know, if there's any sort of drag mentally, and it's, you know, talking about technique. And then you were, you know, explaining some of the people that or some of the dancers that you work with, being like, you know, they might only get 1, 2, or 3 turns in. And so then it's like, he's gonna write a book. Okay, Dr. Dillon's gonna write a book. Heck, and it's gonna be from 2 turns to tops. So from 2 to tops. You're gonna turn like a top by the time he's done with you. And you know, that's a big deal, to bring people full circle in whatever it is that they have planned. And one thing that I want people to know, and we haven't really talked about it a whole lot yet, but with the 3 of us sitting at a table with a decorated dancer that I'm lucky enough to be married to, but it's like, you know, put in the time taking care of yourself, because your performance, your injury prevention, the deductions you will no longer receive, like there is so much more to this. You put in all of this time in choreography and in technique, and you've got ballet, and you know, it's kind of like school. It's like there's some classes you might not prefer to take, right? It's like, oh, I'm not a tapper. Oh, I'm not a ballet. I can't stand ballet. I don't want to do more bar work. And then it's like, you got lyrical and you got the contemporary, and it's like all of these are puzzle pieces to build the story of the picture that you have, you know, and to have all of those tools is great. And so you spend all of this time learning to do all of those things. Here's what you need to know is there's people like us that are in your corner, whether it's injury prevention, overall health, whether it's injury, whether we're not here to keep you out of what you love to do. We want you to continue to want and love to do as long as you want and love to do it. And if God forbid you are injured or you're feeling and experiencing something, I wish I could have a map full of providers that you could trust to talk to, but I guarantee you with how we practice, and I could probably say the same thing for you, is it's like, we're not trying to keep you off of the floor. If you think you're experiencing shin splints, if you are having foot or ankle pain, if you're having hip issues, if there's a curve in your spine and you don't think you want to know about it, it's like, we are not here to keep you out. And I think that's a lot of times of what we hear and what we experience is it's like, I don't want to tell anybody because 1, I don't want them to think I'm crazy, and 2, I don't want to not dance. It's not worth it. And especially if you have providers that are around you, like us, we'll say, that are willing to get you to it, through it faster. If I always say morally, ethically, clinically, it's possible. Because like we were talking off camera too, it's like a lot of times these guys and gals or these dancers or athletes in general, it's like they are afraid to say something. They don't know where to go and who to trust, and they don't want to sit out, right? Kind of in your experience with what you do, I mean, is that kind of similar?
Yeah, I will say, and I'll even add to this idea that doctors don't understand what we do. They're going to tell me just rest, and I think that's the biggest fear. Is like, yeah, like you said earlier, it was like they're going to take me out of my sport. They're going to take me out of dance, and that's not our goal. It's like we want you to be healthy. We want you to make these gains safely and get you back. And we may not take you out, but we're going to be able to support you while you're on the journey during comp. So.
I think that's a really big struggle for, like you said, athletes in general. Dancers specifically, I can speak to, is if you take us off the dance floor, our mental health goes there. All the way down there, because something that I think is beautiful about us dancers personally is that's how we get out our emotions. You know, we don't know how to get it out any other way. So you take us off that floor and we don't know what to do with ourselves. I mean, I think I've had a year without dance, and it was my worst year to date. And he can attest to that one, because
I literally told her,
I
like,
lost.
Start dancing.
Yeah, he did. He was like, and you're back somehow, some way, get back in the studio, because I went from happy to immediately upset and just like hated my life for an entire year, because I didn't know how to express myself the way that God gifted me, which is through movement. And if I can't move, I don't know what to do. So all of these dancers that we see now, and I absolutely can say I've done it myself, where I've been injured and I haven't said a word because I was too afraid that I would have to sit out and watch everybody dance, because that is my worst fear, is having to sit and watch everybody else get to express themselves and enjoy life, and I get to sit on the ground because my ankle hurts. Like, no, I can push through. No, I can push through. But you can't, because then you're just going to end up with injury after injury after injury and mental block. So that's why we have you guys.
I want to take this a little different route now, and from your experience with all the dancers you see, we can even talk on some of our experience with the dancers we've seen. But what are some of the most common injuries you're seeing? Because there's going to be a lot of dancers that are watching this, so that they can kind of connect with it and see from our perspective as chiropractors and you as a dancer, what we're doing to help them, one, get back faster, and also from an injury prevention standpoint, what we can do to prevent some of those most common injuries from happening.
Right now, the main thing I'm seeing is a lot of hip injuries and low back. Like the top two, but if you want to throw more, knee, feet, ankles, neck.
So the list, head to toe, right? So
a lot of overuse. What was the second part of that?
So like prevention, and like what's your approach on most of these with the most common ones you're seeing?
So if I'm thinking about the hip, one, I'm going to like look at, okay, what's happening biomechanically? I'm going to even just get my hands on the joint, see how it's moving. What are the soft tissues around it? A lot of times, like I said earlier, if they have pain, say in a specific part of the hip, then I'm going to see how is the other side functioning. They also complain about tight hamstrings all the time. And
is it really tight?
When I stretch, it's really tight. So I keep stretching and it gets tighter. So I have to like talk about neural tension, and that the more you want to stretch and you do stretch it while it's tight, the body just wants to go tighten you right back up for that reflex. So just like education of like, okay, let's do some Nordic hamstring curls or something. And then they're like, whoa,
let's strengthen.
This works. I also think about like the amount of turnout dancers are in, and so they're talking about all this pain in their hips. So I do a lot of MRT, so I'm working with my hands a lot, feeling the muscles. The posterior capsule is a little tight, so I'm working the posterior capsule. Something recently I've been doing is I call it closed chain hip internal rotation. So I'll like have them knees together, feet apart, and then kind of kneeling on the ground and kind of sit back as far as they can through motion versus just sitting into it to create this. If we're thinking about pliés, that's closed chain external rotation. So how can we do the opposite? So that equal and opposite, how we can get those motions going. And then thinking about hip mechanics of where does my turnout come from, is just kind of going over that, because the hip is a complex, and it's so complex.
Yeah. Yes.
And just thinking about like, okay, is this my hip? Is this hip internal rotation, external rotation?
Yeah.
So really breaking down like, okay, if this is my hip, we have this bump right here called your greater trochanter. If I lift here, it's going to hit the side of the hip, which means I have to tilt my body. And now my lower back is crunched to the right. Now my hip's up. Now I'm off balance. So now I'm getting a little bit too much pronation going on.
Yep.
And then everything else just kind of goes. My shoulders, everything on the right side's tight. We need to strengthen a little bit more on the left. And so if we can just rotate the femur and then lift that greater trochanters out of the way, we can get a little bit more stacked hips that dancers are looking for.
And that's so good. And it's like, you know, even being married to a dancer and us being around dance world more, and we've drugged Dr. Nate into this by default. How many dancers did you see before?
A handful.
But you know, you bring up a lot of the structural component like we talk about too. And it's like, and that's why we say all the time, it's like the soft tissues and those things they're utmost importance. And then you just took it from a soft tissue primary and really just like we talk about, you took a soft tissue start and turned it right into a structural component that's creating the soft tissue primary. So it's like there's the primary, which we'll say one, secondary, tertiary, right? So there's still ground zero.
Yeah.
Ground zero is structure. And you mentioned something earlier before when we were talking when you first got here, is it's like, what if the trochanter's different? You know, what if the neck of the femur is different, shorter? It's like, how does that, and how are you supposed to look at that structure? Like, what's the only thing, one of the only things you can do to look at that structure to rule some of those things in or out? It's digital x-ray. I mean, yeah, MRI, you're talking more soft tissue, but digital x-ray is the number one most sensitive component to looking at bony structure and postural structure, bar none. And so for these dancers, we talk about it all the time. And I don't think there's been one dancer that we have seen that hasn't gone, whoa, like I had no idea. Whether it was the scoliosis curve, whether it was INEX pelvis, whether it was, you know, nutated, counter-nutated pelvis, or coxa, or, you know what, there's so much more. And to your point, we were going through that with some of these other dancers, is it's like, it's a structural issue. You can do that and you're just going to block up against the wall the whole day. And then, okay, now cheat, lean more. What are you doing to the other leg? You're doing the same thing to the other leg. You're just leaning opposite with this one up in the air.
Now it's weight bearing.
Yes.
Close chain over here.
Yep.
So good. And again, I mean, we've known each other for all of 47 minutes now, and we're talking and we're talking about the same things. And I just love it. There's a reason that you took us up on this podcast today. And I'm loving it. This is so good.
I'm so excited. I'm over here like on the edge of my seat. I was really nervous. I was like, really cool. And I was like, oh, I have so much to say. I'm just like,
Yes.
excited.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest things we see is trying to get across that the soft tissue component isn't always the problem. Yeah, if you pull a muscle and there's a tear or something there, then yes, we need to rehab that. But, you know, doing the hamstring exercise or stretches over and over and over again, you know, what if there's something where the pelvis is involved and, you know, you have an anterior posterior pelvic tilt and you need to address that from a structural component, or the hips internally or externally rotated from the ilium that's flared. And if, you know, you don't talk to someone that knows it from a structural level, then you're not even going to get to that root of it to be even addressing it. So it's not a long-term issue or not a repetitive stress issue that we see with so many of these athletes. So that's definitely the mindset we want to have and be able to relay to these parents and to the athletes themselves so they can understand the root cause.
Yeah, playing into that too, being the only one that isn't a doctor and understands all of this. I did take kinesiology in college. Thank you very much.
I did most of her homework. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I took that class before I met him. But, you know, as a dancer, you're told to stretch more. You're told because teachers themselves also don't understand that because they aren't doctors and nobody has taught them that either. So, you know, growing up, you would do wall splits for 5 minutes. You would sit in a split, whether you had it or not, didn't matter because you had to get your split down. Like you have to have a left split. You have to have a right split. You have to have your middle split to be a successful dancer, quote unquote, if you're not watching this via video. You have to have flexibility. You have to be able to move your body the way humans aren't naturally intended to move their bodies. So you have to put yourself in weird positions and contort, and you're told that you have to do these things. So you force your body to do it, which comes with the overuse, like you were just describing, because as a dancer that wasn't naturally flexible, I did hold my wall split for 10 minutes at a time so that I could get it, right? Like, I have to have my middle. So I'm going to lay on my bed and literally just straddle against the wall for hours on end so that I could do it, so that I could go to class the next day and be like, look, I have my middle split, and like get rewarded from that because it felt good that I
with
got
a
it.
freshly ground out acetabulum to be able to do it.
But like, what baffled me, because yes, I mean, I married a chiropractor, but I still didn't quite understand until Dr. Nate literally made me get my right split in 5 minutes. And it was the most baffling thing I've ever experienced in my life because of a literal exercise that he had me do, because I don't even remember what exactly it was.
I was about to say, share the goods.
Seriously, it was incredible. So I'm a lefty. So I had my left. I told him I didn't have my right, and he had me do something on the ground with my hip, and then I had my right split. And I'm like, why don't more people know this? Because dancers struggle every day, and that's how they create these injuries, because they are forcing their body to do something that they can't do because their structure isn't allowing them to. So instead, we need to educate more on all of this for our dancers, because everybody has the right to be flexible, and everybody has the right to be a good dancer. An ability
to be flexible.
Yes, an ability to be flexible, an ability to be, a sound turner. But you can't unlock those abilities until you understand your body. And although dancers understand their body in movement, they don't understand their body in structure. And I think that's where we lose it. Because they might be able to and feel the music the way they're supposed to, but their body can't physically make it happen because of their structure.
I'll give you a little insight on what I did.
Yes.
The magic of it.
It was magic, I swear.
So it's the concept of just joint centration. Exactly what you were talking about before, is making sure that the femur head and the acetabulum is basically in a position where it can go through the full range of motion that it needs to. So in her case, it was also the same concept that we were talking about, where there's tightness in an area, but there's that contrasting weakness on the opposite side of it. So by engaging and facilitating the muscle on the opposite side of the joint where the restriction is, then it allows it to open up. So we did a simple banded hip mobilization. We tested first with Faber's test, the femoral acetabular flexion external rotation exercise, and
I love how he just pulled the acronym right out of the top of his head.
Test, retest, and it showed basically 5 inches of a difference of external rotation. And then we're like, okay, now try your split. And she's like, what?
Had it.
And now there's more that needs to be done to maintain that, and especially from an adjustment standpoint, that can facilitate that as well, for sure. But then there's some strengthening components to also help it with maintaining that external rotation and not having as much tightness in the internal portion of that capsule of the hip. I'll stop talking technical.
I want to talk more.
Right?
But yeah, it gives you an insight on, how we think and when we're looking at things, how complex it is, but how simple we can make it within a 5-minute exercise to fix something.
Let me ask you this. We'll see if you're on the same page, and I'll let you, if you've got anything to say on this, we'll keep rolling a little bit here. But for these dancers, or even parents of dancers, because even you get pretty young, and sometimes the parents get told what she needs to work on this, and she'll, how does she get on this level dance? How does she get in this level class? And it's like, well, she needs to work on this. If your dancer does not have a specific trick, a specific flexibility moment, whatever it might be, where would you most likely look first? Because I think it's safe to say, if you don't have a trick or a flexibility moment for whatever that is, chances are there's more than one thing that could be the problem.
Yeah.
And chances are, if we don't go down a road to figure out what it really is, you're going to be told to stretch, and that's probably the last thing that really needs to be done. What do you say? How do you feel about that?
Did you repeat the first
So there's
part?
probably multiple other things that could be wrong, but you're going to be told to stretch, which is probably the last thing that you need to do to figure out what is wrong.
Assess it all.
So how are you going to assess it?
Yeah.
Just looking at like I like to look at the spine. How is the spine moving? What are the how are the joints moving within the body? Especially like even with hips, like how's this hip joint moving? Because like you said, we're told to stretch, but then it's like, hey, let's see you go through these. I put air quotes here because regular people exercises, and then see what happens to the structure.
Yes.
Like for example, a squat. What's happening to the squat? What's happening to the structure within a squat? And I was this person back in the day when I was a kid, when I first started, is I have my turnout, I'm going to keep this. So it's kind of, I'm not even sure where I'm going with this.
No, you're good.
I'm just like, I'm thinking about that. Of like,
well, yeah. And that's why I didn't really want to bias you. I mean, you know a little bit about, you don't know a whole lot about what we do, but in the 56 minutes now that we've known each other, I'm time stamping all of these. It's really cool how we are pretty much on the same page, because there's a lot of things that you've talked about with how you do assess, even at the beginning of this, when you're talking about hip movement. Everything you're talking about is a dynamic test. And we oftentimes, I try to say, don't never say always or never, but we oftentimes think we want it to be that silver bullet action of like, well, they just need to stretch. That's no more time out of her day. She knows how to stretch. And if it's a mobility problem, then we're just going to have her stretch more. That way we don't have to add anything else into our schedule. But also, too, I think there's a component of they just don't know what they don't know. So if everything that you're hearing him say and everything that we've been saying is it's a dynamic test. The things that we do are either a dynamic warm-up. There's hardly anything static. So don't make the evaluation of what it is that you aren't getting or what you have wrong or what is injured. There needs to be a dynamic assessment to figure out what the problem is. It's never just one case scenario. It could be multiple. So start ruling out and start ruling in the right things, because a lot of dancers and a lot of families pay a lot of time and pay a lot of money to be able to. Them rhinestones cost a lot, buddy. But you spend all this time, money, and effort and investment into these kids, away from family, for family, and to do all of this, to then unfortunately sustain an injury or not take the time to work on the injury prevention or the mental health side. And it's like there needs to be more of us out there, but a lot of these injuries can happen where they get taken to a facility or they don't know where else to go and they get put into facility, like you were just saying, of the status quo person. And PTs are great, orthos are great, chiropractors are great, but they might not specialize in dance town. And it's like, that could look different. So now you have a PT, ortho, chiro, whoever it is, dealing with a person. It's like, well, the book says this, you have shin splints and we're going to do this. And it's like, but that person might not get it from a dance perspective. And you're not giving the whole quality of care that should be given to that particular athlete. So having people who are in the know, like yourself, it sounds like you need to be in multiple places, not just Long Island. But I think, dancers, I just want to encourage dancers and families that if you don't have a provider you trust that's in the dance world, find one. And if you don't know where to find one, ask. Start reaching out and ask, because you can go wherever you want. Like, yes, I'm going to be biased and say chiropractic first every time. And if we need to refer, we refer to orthos. We refer to PTs. We have no problem doing that. However, there's a lot of things that we can do in-house, especially with dancers, because of the background that we have, to be able to get you back faster, heal you properly, treat you as a person, not just a dancer, not just an athlete, treat you as a person, get you over this, because we know what it's like to be in that lifestyle. So I think that's a huge feather in our cap for who it is that we see and the niche that you're in. And I think it's just awesome. And we need to clone everybody at this table for sure.
And piggybacking off of what both of you just said, dancers are special humans. We do move our bodies and put ourselves in positions that we should not be able to physically do. So the best doctor for a dancer is absolutely a chiropractor. You guys know the body more than anybody. Seriously though, if you're watching this, get your dancer to a chiropractor, because I tell you what, nobody else knows how to take care of a dancer. than a chiropractor
Mm.
because you do look at the body, how it's moving. You look at the person, you look at the structure, you see the x-rays, and you're actually able to tell the dancer what's going on. We're not normal athletes. Like I said, we're not normal humans. Our body doesn't work the same way. And you guys all individualize your care. And that's what makes chiropractors and dancers such a great combination, because you're able to keep our bodies mobile and flexible and moving right, pain-free, you know, and everything, and just 10x ourselves, which is great. I love it.
Patient-centered care.
Get it.
Well, we could probably make this a 3-hour podcast if I really wanted to. I want to kind of go semi-rapid fire here as we head downhill.
Ooh.
But I kind of want to dive in a little bit more about Dr. Dillon here real quick. So I asked you this off camera, but I'm going to ask you again.
Okay.
Favorite genre of dance?
Hip hop.
Hip hop.
Yes.
If you were going to compete either in group or solo, if you had one more competitive dance, would it also be hip hop?
Ooh.
You're going to go compete in nationals, one dance. What are you competing?
I actually think it would be hip hop still.
Yeah.
Still would be hip hop. Shout out to GRV. The top team I was on in California.
Oh,
Yeah?
heck yeah. That's
Okay.
awesome.
And so you're at Fusions Intensive this week.
Yes.
Your class is tomorrow, and you're teaching what?
Injury prevention, biomechanics for dance, mobility, strength training for dancers.
Mhm.
I have like a lot of little cool tricks. So I think it was like spotting.
Yeah.
Where it's like eye tracking.
Mm.
So prepared eye muscles and get that there. So
Mhm.
trying to
Yes.
see like what works for you. Take it. What doesn't work for you, leave it.
Mhm.
Question on that, real quick sidebar. Have you dealt with any dancers and concussion yet?
Thankfully, no.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're opening a can of worms.
Not on everything. Wait till
Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, then
When you do call us, we'll get you through it.
Yeah.
What else? Let's learn some more about Dr. Dillon.
If you were to adjust one area of the spine, one joint, the rest of your life, what would it be?
Does it have to be the spine?
No.
Oh, I really like shoulder adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And
What
hip.
part of the shoulder?
Sorry. Oh, yeah, that's a good question. The GH
Okay.
joint.
Got it.
Get a little and be like,
Heck yeah. I love that.
Any other questions?
What made you, well, you told us what made you want to be not a PT, but what made you go chiropractic?
okay, funny enough, I'm glad you asked this question. I had a dream.
Really?
Yes.
When I was in undergrad, it was my last semester, and I had a dream that I was a chiropractor, and I went to another mentor because we had a athletic trainer in the dance department,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, what do you think about chiropractors? And then he was like, I don't like them. And I was like,
Oh.
Yeah.
and so I tried to become an athletic trainer for years, and I was getting all these roadblocks. It was like, Lord said, no, 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 no. And then all of a sudden I went back to him. I'm like, hey, no one's letting me like shadow so I can get hours to apply. Just to apply, you need like 200 hours.
Yeah.
And he was like, have you thought about becoming a chiropractor? And I wanted to pull out my hair because I was like, I thought you said you don't like them. He said, I didn't say I didn't like them. I don't trust them. Be a good one I can trust.
Aw. That's so true.
Well, we're glad to have you as a chiropractor. That's
Heck yeah.
good.
Absolutely.
And that's why too. It's like we've talked about it till we're blue in the face. It's like we collaborate very well, and that's why it's just like the dogmatic, stereotypical like that doesn't live here. And so it's good for you for continuing to go that that route, because if you'd have been a PT and I found out you're coming to town, I wouldn't have had your ass on the spot. No, I would have still had you on this podcast. That's Dr. Trent Nestler and down south of Nashville.
Yes.
Like we've done plenty of that, and I think that needs to happen more. So good on you for that. That's all. And you went to LACC?
Went to LACC. I remember the day as soon as that the athletic trainer told me that, I emailed the school. They emailed me right back, and they're like, "Send your transcripts." Sent them in, and they're like, "Good news, you just need one class, chemistry." And then I was like 6 weeks in the summer, and I cried every single time I took a test. I was like, "Mom, I'm smart. I got 100%." And sure enough, sent in everything, and they're like, "Well, welcome to chiropractic school." But I had to work a little harder because undergrad was a little different story, but
Yeah.
needed some time to grow up and mature and
100%.
all the things.
Heck yeah.
100%.
I love it.
That's awesome, man. That's so
Mhm.
awesome.
Talk about a God wink right there. He literally came to you in your dream and said, "This is what you're doing."
And here I am.
Get it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to hear a little bit about some of your tattoos. Pick your
Ooh.
favorite two and tell us.
So my hands,
Mm-hmm.
since Cairo means hands.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this one's Samoan, and I got it for my grandma. So both my grandmas passed away, but these are dedicated to them. Her name was Lima, which means hand.
Oh.
No way.
Okay.
And this is the Filipino hand.
Hey.
And my Filipino grandma's name was Matia, and that means gift from God. So my hands are a gift from God.
Oh.
So does my name means that too.
Your name?
Yep, gift from God.
Really?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Hi.
Very nice.
Hands are you.
Yeah.
I'm on your hands. You haven't even adjusted me yet.
And then obviously, so as we started this, I was being comical, but for those of you that are still questioning, no, this is not Maui. Okay. So we are not doing a Moana. However, talk about the dance background that you do enjoy and you do teach on because of your culture and your background. Give us a little bit in that.
So I started with crumping, got into hip hop, contemporary jazz, lyrical modern. College was modern ballet. Was a professional Latin dancer, so I did salsa bachata.
So fun.
Did musical theater, and then recently did Tahitian, Ori Tahiti, and Siva Samoa. So I'm Samoan, so I dance traditionally Samoan. I was actually I performed at the Met in New York City.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
And at MoMA last year too,
Heck
doing
yeah.
Siva Samoa.
That's
I'm
fantastic.
actually going to American Samoa to write my thesis. Finish that up.
Good for
Good.
you.
Killing it.
So just trying to just all different types of movements.
Yes. That's outstanding.
Well, last thing, what is it you want to say to dancers, dance families? What do they need to know? Give them some tips, some insider trading, anything that you want them to know specifically about their health or their mental health as dancers or all of it. Give us Maui's last words.
Wow, Maui's last words.
No, we can do part two. We'll do a part two podcast. If you want to do a part two, we'll do a part. Absolutely, we'll do a part.
Okay.
We got to get the review on how that went and getting back home to Long Island. We'll do a remote in.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
what do
I have a
dancers?
lot of hot takes too.
Absolutely.
On point.
Yeah.
On point.
It involves sickling. Some of
Yeah.
you. But you need to sickle sometimes. You need to strengthen that.
Ooh,
Stay tuned.
there's a hook right
There's
there.
a hook.
Dancers, you need to sickle. Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question again? I'm so sorry.
What are kind of some last words, some thoughts, some insider trading? What do dancers and dance families? What do you want them to know? If they know nothing else, give them a couple nuggets. What do they need to know?
I think first and foremost, for any dancer, you are enough. That who you are as a person is just as important as who you are as a dancer. And that's like your doctors here, your chiropractors here that you have here are here on your side. We're not here to take you away from what you love, but to get you back even stronger. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing is like, and you're also more than just a dancer too. Like you are a human being. You're a person with so many different intersections in your life, and that every single one of those parts of you is important.
Absolutely. Heck yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing this on short notice and being willing to come check it out. We've had a blast having you for the past hour and 9 minutes.
And counting.
I hope you have a ton of fun. I hope you enjoy your time here in the Midwest. If you need anything, holler. We'll give you our numbers and everything. So
Come back whenever.
I will say, when I do go to the Midwest, it's normally Michigan. I might have a new favorite.
Let's
go.
go.
Well, anytime you want to hop on a plane and come over here, you have places to stay.
Yeah.
So, please.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So enjoy Fusion Dance Center. And for those of you that are listening, if you're at another studio, connect with this guy. How do we get a hold of you? Where are you at on Insta? We should have done that at the beginning. I'll plug it in at the beginning too.
Okay.
What you got?
At Dr.Dylan_DC.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, we'll like it out. We'll put it in the comments too, and you guys can connect with us. If you didn't catch it and you want to know who this guy is, reach out to us. We can get you guys in touch. But
Heck yeah.
it's been great having you here. We should do a part 2. We say that to almost everybody, but we are very much willing to. If we can ever be a resource for you, I don't know how that might work.
Yeah.
We're here for you. But anything else? Any other last words?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Enjoy Intensive this weekend at Fusion, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.
Yay.
Thank you.
Good job.